Hello again, and welcome to this episode where we're going to discuss don't meet. Huh. Now then, this is going to be a very interesting one because isn't this the whole point of salespeople is we've got to meet people and talk to them and do stuff. Claire, you
Yeah,
brought it to the table, so you need to just
fair
explain
enough.
this in context a bit.
I'm saying to salespeople, don't meet. There will be, as like all the other ones, there will be unless or possibly. But actually, let's put this into context. We are in COVID at the moment as well, so people can't meet. Although, of course, people can meet screen to screen. They can't meet face to face, but they can certainly meet screen to screen still. But let's go back to why do people...
So can I just stop you there? So at the moment we say you can't meet, which is a different discussion, but we're saying for the purpose of this, that a virtual meeting is the same. We're going to treat that the same as if you pack your bag, go off, spend time to arrive, meet face to face. Meeting virtually, same thing for the purpose of what we're talking.
Arguably, yes, but not quite. So I'm focusing on the face-to-face meeting because of the downsides of the face-to-face meeting. But it does, some of the points will link to the screen-to-screen meeting as well.
Okay, well, let's go through why people think it's a good idea, because it's probably a big long list. Yes.
Yeah. So the main reason why salespeople think it's a good idea is it's about the relationship. I can get to know somebody much better when I see them in a face-to-face environment, and I can really get to know them, and maybe I can invite them to lunch afterwards as well. So I can spend a lot of time really getting to know them. And of course, people buy from people, so therefore, the more I know them and like them, please go and see Don't Be Friends with Your Customers. They're quite interesting. But I think that's the main thing, is I can get across a lot more, and we can be more, most of us think we're more engaging and we can influence more in a face-to-face environment. Face-to-face is much easier to influence people. And there's another point as well, which is we as salespeople think if we go and meet our customers, then the customer will think, oh, we must be very important to them. And they perceive us giving them high value. And therefore the customers perceive us better, if you like. So it's like adding value almost, if you like. Well, I think all of that thinking is flawed. So let's do the last point first. Customers don't even think about, because you're coming to see me face to face, therefore I think of you highly. They're just thinking you're in this area at the same time. So there's absolutely no influence on how I perceive you as a customer. With I see, if anything, I think if you've come all this way out, you must be desperate or not a very good salesperson. You're not speaking to anybody else if you really want to have that meeting. So I don't think that particularly works. The other thing is, do customers really want to spend that much time with you as well? So actually, there's a lot of research out there. I think you were quoting it at me the other day. Was it the McKinsey one where it says like 65% buyers say they're just as effective in a virtual environment. So face-to-face takes more time. It takes me away. So as a customer, you're using up more time. So I want even more value for you from you.
Just to jump in, yeah, it was McKinsey, and it was end of 2020 that this stuff came out, because they'd done the research around the virtual meetings.
Yeah.
But this thing about that, if we're having face-to-face meetings, it takes longer. Is this, you think, because people are saying, oh, you're coming all this distance, or we've put this in the diary, I'm going to have to give you more time?
Possibly,
and so I end up
I think the salesperson. I think it's more from the salesperson. I think I'm going all that way. I better make it into an hour meeting rather than a 10-minute meeting. This is now a formal meeting so far. And it just, and of course, the flawed thing about it is, particularly face-to-face meetings, they take up so much time. So it's not a very efficient or effective way of selling nowadays. I'm not saying don't ever meet, of course, but actually I think sometimes we have meetings for meeting's sake in the old world and possibly the new norm, where it's a sort of coffee cup meeting, where not a lot happens in it. And what's the value in that then as well, other than people buy from people and they like me a bit better? But actually, if there's no value to the meeting, the customer won't actually like you anymore either. They'll be pissed off.
Yeah.
So
it's funny, actually. So I just jump in. Somebody was saying to me the other day that, oh, I'm finding it really hard to do business because I'm not having my coffee cup meetings. They called it coffee meetings.
Yeah.
We said, yeah, customers aren't doing those anymore. And I was trying to push back, saying, well, is that because they're not really seeing the value, of just spending time having coffee? Are they still in business? Are they still working? Are they still buying some stuff off your organization? Yes.
Yeah.
So they've worked out actually that stuff wasn't very valuable, that you weren't bringing much to the equation.
As long as you're adding value and staying connected with them, it doesn't have to be a formal meeting, even a coffee cup meeting, to do that.
Interesting.
into
Okay, sorry, I jumped in. You were going to say something
That's
else.
really good. So I think that's why it's flawed. It just takes up too much time. So basically, what to do instead? I think the biggest reason why this is flawed is most meetings are not planned enough. They're not planned and they're not tailored, and they're certainly not relevant enough to the customer's outcomes. So focus on outcome selling, insights, whatever you want to call it, try to educate the customer, but focus on, and don't forget to look at don't educate your customer, even though I'm saying it here, plan it much more. And actually with the meetings, mix face-to-face with much more virtuals. We should have been doing that over the last 5 years anyway. Hopefully with a new norm that will happen. We don't need as many face-to-face as we think we do. So link with your customers, find out what they need and what their focus is. Because as you say, if they're still buying from you without face-to-face, why are you still doing the old face-to-face stuff? However, when you do face-to-face, I'm not saying don't do any face-to-face ever, really plan it well and really think, what's the WFM for that customer? What's in it for me? What are they getting out of it? And make sure it's really focused on them as opposed to focus on the salesperson. Too many meetings don't have agendas, don't have objectives, don't have a purpose, don't have an end in mind, and they're just not tailored and they're not adding value to the customer. So in which case, don't meet unless you can really articulate the value proposition of why they should see you and they would agree that it's worth it. That's my summary, if you like.
No, got you. So don't meet unless it's going to be valuable, unless it ticks those boxes, you've prepped it, you've planned it, you've thought it through. But isn't that good advice for virtual and even a quick phone call? Because we're not saying, let's just underline this, we're not saying eliminate all contact.
No.
Because I think we're actually saying you could have more contact. Potentially, yes. You can have more contact, but you can drop in a short phone call, you can have a quick virtual, you can actually also have a number of other virtual where you're talking to different people, or have a virtual where you bring in your R&D head. I think that one bring in your marketing person, that one bring in your ops director, whatever's relevant. So we have lots more touch points potentially. We don't need this all big singing, dancing meeting, which gets postponed and postponed and postponed because not all those people are always available.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, and also let's break all those meetings into lots of little touch points, exactly what you said there. So they could be some face-to-face, but actually virtual screen-to-screen, email as well, conferences, webinars and so forth, because then sometimes some of those meetings, I've seen people go to meetings, I don't know, with 10 or 12 people, of which the only bit they're relevant for is 20 minutes. I never understand that, but they have to sit through a 2-hour meeting. Well, that's pointless. We should be having lots of little meetings, but actual fact, even better, have lots of virtual meetings, but more touch points. So actually, if you have less meetings, you can have more touch points. I absolutely agree. And that's good. So mix it up. We're not saying never meet, but actually in today's world, do we really need to meet? And we've got good internet connection and good screen to screen. Actually, you can build relationships screen to screen as well.
Okay, cool. So as always, never say never, but don't meet. Do some of these things instead. You're going to have the same desired effect.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. Love it. Cool.
Superb. I look forward to the next one. I'm off for coffee.
Cheers.